Hi guys, it's Wanda Sparks here. I'm having coffee talk today with my friend Kat. And say hello, Kat.
Hi.
And I am here at her beautiful home today because she's getting married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So when's the big day?
September 2nd. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I know, that's exciting and it's nearby.
Yeah.
And Kat is marrying Kim.
Yes, I am.
Kim is a great girl. I've met her. So how did you guys meet?
Oh, wow. Well, we met 5 years ago at a conference on AIDS because we both work in the HIV field.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We met at Washington, D.C., and then a year later we met again in New Orleans.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm. So you met like...
At two different conferences,
oh,
yeah.
Wow. So that's how you know it's like, oh, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
It's meant to be. So, going into a marriage where you're marrying someone of the same sex, we started talking about gender roles.
Yeah.
And I know that I was married for 18 years to a man, and there were very specific gender roles in my house because that's where he came from. He came from a heterosexual marriage, his parents and then my parents. So we knew that the woman stays home and she cooks and she cleans and she takes care of the kids, and the man throws out the trash and fixes the cars and does things around the house. But now that I'm in my 40s and dating, I think that even that has changed. I think the whole women's movement thing is a big deal, and now you look for a partner, not somebody who's going to just be the trash man or the handy guy or something.
Yeah.
So I wanted to speak to you about how that works in your relationship.
Yeah.
Do you have gender specific roles that you play at home, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. I think a lot of people have that question because we are growing up in a society that teaches a lot of gender norms. I grew up in a household with my mom and my dad, and there was gender normal relationship parts there also, and they were example for that. So I think that it is an easy question to have when you're talking about same-sex couples, as far as how does that impact their relationships. And so I know I could only speak for my relationship, but that's something that we had to really think about and talk about. We don't really practice any sort of gender roles because we're both women in the relationship, but also we don't have expectations that traditional women would have in the household in a marriage or in a relationship. So for us, it's based on we run our household based off of skills and who's good at what, but for the most part everyone contributes to things. So when it comes to cleaning, we both contribute. I hate cleaning, and she probably hates cleaning as much as any other person does. So we both pitch in for things like that, but I think what it comes down to also is just about having equity at home and making sure that everyone's involved and is doing something that they do well. So I happen to like cooking. She likes to cook too, for the few recipes she knows how to cook. I do a lot of the cooking. I like to challenge myself when it comes to handiwork around the house. So I tend to do a lot of the DIY or fixes or little projects. I'm not afraid to jump into those types of things, and I know that that's not exactly where her skills fall in, so she doesn't necessarily jump into the things that she doesn't have skills to really do. And I think that what I was talking to you about has a lot to do with the idea of same-sex couples. So my partner is male presenting, and so for non-binary couples who are in the same-sex relationship, it could be easy to have those traditional gender roles when people look at us and might think, maybe Kim does more of the masculine things in the household because she looks
I was
more
shocked.
tomboy.
When you told me that she's that you do the handiwork.
Yeah.
I'm oh wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought. And then you said she likes to shop. I'm like, Kim, really?
Yeah. So I mean, and it comes down to the fact that we're both girls, and we don't have expectations for one another. But I think it's also hard to navigate that too, because it can be easy to have that sort of idea of I dress a certain way, so I have to act a certain way, and it's mostly just the whole point about dressing any type of ways to be as most comfortable as you are, and it doesn't have to come attached with any other expectations, like that, you're in charge of garbage or you're in charge of fixing my car or anything like that, So I think it's a little bit different when it comes to that.
And I remember, like, growing up, that's kind of what you were taught from your parents. And then I remember reading this excerpt from a 1950s housewife book where they're like, a school textbook is showing girls, like, how to have the house clean and dinner should be on the table and don't stress him out and your kids should be nice and clean. And I'm like, okay, that's great if you don't do anything else. Like, if you're a housewife and that's your job, then I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But, you were saying that we were kind of raising that generation where we got a little bit, away from that, and they're telling us, like, hey, you can be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is you want to be, and I think that changes things for us.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I grew up, in a generation where we were told that you could be the first woman president, or you could be a CEO, and the sky was the limit, and it wasn't necessarily only focused about like home, like raising a house or raising children and having to run a house. So I think that changes the dynamic a little bit when you think about what it's like to have those expectations with a woman who's working. And I mean, I think I saw that a little bit growing up from my mom. Like, it's hard to have those expectations when now a lot of heterosexual or homosexual relationships, a lot of like relationships need to have 2 income households, and so when definitely. That wasn't the expectation before, like you said, when someone has the time to do those types of things, that's a full job within itself. Yeah. But when you have someone, like, now, just the way the economy is, most people need to have 2 income households. So to have those same expectations, I think, is just like out of date. And then also to have the expectation that a woman can, achieve success in a professional atmosphere the same way that a man does, but also has to still live those gender role ideas, I think is unrealistic, but some people do it, and I think that amazing, and sometimes that brings them value, like, to feel like they're contributing in that way. I think that a lot of women who have to do that because they're single moms and they have no choice but to, like, work and, run a household. I think that's amazing. I think that's pretty much what, like, superheroes are made out of. But but I think that, when you're in a relationship and you're able to negotiate that, I think it just goes back down to, like, any relationship, about values, what's important to you, and what the negotiation is of those types of roles and expectations. And
that's why I wanted to have you on, because I think we can learn a lot from that. I'm in my 40s and I'm dating, and I date a lot of men who are also in their 40s, 50s, and oh my God, 50s. Anyway, they're older men who have been on their own for a while. Yeah. So there's, they cook, they clean, they throw out the trash. There's, when you're by yourself, you have to do everything.
Right.
So I always try to think of how that dynamic would fit in if I were to, like, live with someone again or to be married again.
Yeah.
It's like, I think he'll still throw out the trash, of course.
Yeah.
I'm so against that whole taking out trash thing. But yeah, it's like, would I look down on him because, he cooks? Because I do come from, like, an old school family where it's like, oh, look, he cooks and he cleans, and and you know how it is. But a lot of people even make comments like, maybe he's not even straight, because we think that men are supposed to be, these manly men who sit around after work and have a beer on the couch and they fix the car and, they fix whatever's going on at home, but you do all the domestic stuff.
Yeah. I think that there's 2 sides of that coin, though, when you think about, like, the, like, classical idea of, like what machismo idea of what men are. I think that's kind of what I was talking about earlier about, like, toxic masculinity, because men and women are 2 different beings, but we all each have the ability to span every spectrum of emotion and every spectrum of, like, identity, so I think that what we're kind of is, sometimes it's traditional is nice, but I think that where it kind of becomes dangerous is when you think about that men have to be a certain way, and they have to be the leaders, or they have to run the house or be the head of the household, when a lot of the situation isn't similar nowadays, where it doesn't have to be anyone. It should be a mutual, like, partnership where everyone has a stake in negotiating what the household looks like, you know. You think it also stems from a lot of control issues too. I think when you think about like men, the idea of men needing to be the head of the household and controlling what is, you know, being done in the household, how things are being done versus like a partnership. And I was mentioning earlier that I think that relationships, heterosexual or homosexual nowadays, are a little bit more open to negotiating what roles people will have and how they want their day-to-day life to be when it comes to even down to things like money, you know. And I think that's a huge stem. So when traditionally back in the day men were often the only breadwinners, they had a lot of say as to what happens. They controlled it. Yeah,
like, I make the money and
right. And so when you're still signing up for gender roles like that, and you get back to it's a different situation where wait, you're not the only one making money. We're both making money, so we should both have a say as to what goes on here, even down to what time dinner's on the table and who's cooking that dinner. You know, I feel like I'm lucky in a way to not have to live with those gender role ideas because, you know, I'm a full-time college student and I have a lot of hours that I go to school, and my partner, you know, while I'm studying, she'll be doing laundry, making sure laundry's going through. She'll be cooking whatever recipe.
She's not sitting on the couch having a beer like, where's my dinner, woman?
We're getting through this together, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
I think you know, in a way, a small way, you're reminding me how lucky I am to deal with that.
Because I think that heterosexual relationships can learn a lot from it, you know, like not to put so much pressure on, you know, you're a man, you do this, you're a woman, you do that. Because it is different. Times are different. And you're right, women are out there, they're working, and they are still having kids and getting married. And, you know, there are a lot of men who still, you know, are on that.
Those expectations.
Yeah, they have those expectations. Like, I'm the man, I provide. You know, I want a wife to stay home and take care of the kids. Or even if she does work, they expect more from us.
And I don't want to take away from, like, those things that make people feel loved and appreciated. So like if you're in a relationship and you feel loved when, you know, you had a long day and your partner takes the garbage out because you don't like to take the garbage out.
Oh
like,
my God.
That works for you.
That's the way of my heart. Just take out my garbage.
Yeah, exactly. That works for you. And if vice versa, if you know that your partner, you know, gay or straight, man or woman, likes a certain meal and they had a hard day and you want to make that meal for them, like there's nothing wrong with that. I think the issue comes when it's expectations that aren't communicated on both sides and there's like resentment behind that, or there's a lack of like equality behind that. So I don't think that, you know, I'm not saying that you should never, you know, cook for your husbands or like not to, you know, take out your own garbage or anything like that. I'm just saying
don't ever take out your own garbage.
It has to feel equal, you know. It has to feel like, you know, everyone, at least that's what I've noticed has been successful for me to make me feel secure in a relationship, is it feels like I'm giving and the other person's giving too, you know. And so no one's giving more than the other person.
And they always say it's give and take, but I think it's, you know, it's just give and give. Like just know what the other person needs and wants. So yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's just important to remember that love is love, and it doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man. You're always going to be in a relationship where you have to figure out what's going to work for you. So well, thank you so much, Kim. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I called you Kim again. Kat, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing with you, and good luck on the wedding.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope everything goes well. So thank you. See you guys later. Bye.